principles, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Joe's eager.
I was just, I knew it was 9 o'clock.
Okay, what do we got here? I see some new things. Oops. All right, good morning and welcome to the March meeting of the Clinton County Council. I have kind of a brief agenda today. So we'll begin with approval of meeting minutes. We have two sets, the February regular meeting minutes and then the December 31st joint session minutes that we postponed approving last month. So,
I did read both of them, and they were fine.
okay. I think because we had different attendance at those meetings and may have different people on who would want to vote or abstain, we'll vote on those separately. So I'd entertain a motion first for the February 12th minutes.
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion to approve by Todd. Do I have a second? Second by Mary. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0, with 2 abstentions. Then the December 31st joint session minutes. Do I have a motion to approve those?
Motion.
I think I had Joe. I thought I heard Joe. And then Jeff with the second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0 with Mary and I abstaining, having not been in attendance at that meeting. Okay. Moving on, community corrections. Brett Barton.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This morning, we have 86 clients on our program, 4 are on CTP, we have 1 on pretrial release, and we're supervising 2 juveniles. We're working on the grant, getting that finished up. We did run into a small IT issue with the budget side. DOC assumes we have some software we don't have, so we're getting that worked out. Also spoke with our landlord yesterday, and he is ready to let us out of our lease, so
Okay.
we'd like to move forward with that new building as soon as possible. The commissioners in here. Everyone. Hopefully I can get that done in the near future, and we can start renovating that and get moved over there.
Would that require anything from the council
I
to
don't think so.
facilitate that move? Okay. Okay. Well, that's exciting. Good for you.
Thank you.
All right.
Any questions at all?
No. Appreciate you keeping us
All
updated.
right, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Brett. I don't know, do we have Nancy? Yeah, we do have Nancy for probation update.
Morning.
Good morning.
We had $1,764 spent in February. That was, I think, the young man I told you about.
Yep.
Had put a hot pan on his, I think, 2-year-old sister and burned her. He had done a bunch of other things. That was just the straw that broke the camel's back. So he's now back with his dad and receiving services. I'm sure he'll end up in placement at some point. We're just trying to find him one after he gets some diagnostics. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
Nancy, how old was that young man?
He just turned 12. So
Okay. Okay, that moves us on to new business, and we have a few more. Last month, we had got started with kind of our seasonal approval of the CF1s, the tax abatement annual approvals.
Are they going first?
No, we'll do Bailey first. You want me to do yours first?
Yeah, I would.
Are you planning to exit?
No, Jordan is.
Oh, you're going to,
Yeah,
okay.
Jordan's on a tight schedule.
Okay, well, we'll go, okay, there's Jordan. So we're gonna do Bailey second. We'll start with, we've got 2. We've got Philip Saw and Tool and the Chenoweth Real Estate Holdings. And Jordan Chenoweth is here today. And Jordan, you usually share a few comments. Anything you'd like to share with the council before we review the CF1?
Sure, thank you so much. Feel official today. Normally I don't get the privilege of having these documents. Just kidding. So last year was a success. I think like most small businesses, we had some influx of new business. We saw some of our current sectors kind of slowing down. It was more of a transition into different industries. And so the one thing for us is, as long as when we feel a dip or something change, if I lose, I just want to lose to somebody because they're better than us. And so while that doesn't happen a lot, when sectors change, that's just nothing that we can change at all, right? They are just totally going a different direction. So our numbers finished really well. We had a new salesperson that we brought in, and Jeff and I worked closely with her for about 6 months. And then it just didn't quite take off, and so we kind of pivoted from there. I think like most other places, also, we had 4 applicants for different roles in the shop. 2 took other jobs and 2 didn't show for the interview, and so we are currently bringing people in, and we are trying. Had a great interview yesterday, and so the core team is there, and thankfully, we've been able to retain what I would call like foundational pieces. The last 4 or 5 years, people that have been there, and so when new potential hirees come in, I like to go through the shop, and then they get to see them, and usually, thankfully, they're the ones that really sell the business. We don't have to, right? Them working there, they talk about all the pros, and so for us, we have a great outlook this year, and so last year finished wonderful with a great couple potential opportunities for partnership with some new sectors we didn't see, so that's exciting. But I would say if anyone has any different questions, we have pivoted where my father now, we are just reimbursing him. The shop is for his personal investment. He's no longer taking a salary, and so my mom and dad are trying to do certain things to help Sally and I just in the purchase, just in the transition, just as we go through. Last year, let's see, fourth quarter and then first quarter this year, we also had more equipment that was quoted out to us, and so we're certainly not slowing down. Still trying to double down, even if we're not getting those spots filled, because we know opportunity, you got to strike and go. And so there's still excitement, just kind of leveling out on specifically who we need and kind of what we don't. And that's something we've tried to really identify, and so I think we'll be able to do that better even this year.
Okay. I always appreciate the updates, and you always shortchange yourself because I'm always proud to say Frankfurt is the home of the worldwide headquarters.
That's true.
Phillips Saw and Tool.
That's true.
Alan, it was a couple months, 2 or 3 months ago, we had some work that we had to do out at their place for an unfortunate accident where somebody whacked a pole. And Jeff saw me out there and took me in and through the shop, and we'd done business clear back. I mean, many, we're probably going 20 years ago when we started doing business together. And I had never been in their shop. And he took me on a tour, and it is impressive.
It
It's
really
very,
is.
very impressive. And I just want to make that comment as well, too.
Yeah, you guys should be very proud of what you've built.
Yes.
So this request was made at a time that you added some equipment and I think even part of the building, if I remember right. And so that all has happened as committed at the time of the original SB1 form. So maybe the employment, as Jordan was explaining, the employment part is maybe a little shy of the projections way back then that were made, but the main part of the investment in the assessed value has certainly happened. And so in this situation is where we would say the CF1 is in substantial compliance, even though there may be a slight shortfall on the employment side. And so I would certainly entertain a motion to approve. I think this is another one of Frankfort's and Clinton County's great success stories.
I'll make that motion.
So let's do, I guess, to be clear, there's 2, so let's do the
okay.
Phillips Saw and Tool as an individual approval. So that was
Yeah.
a motion to approve the Phillips Saw and Tool CF1. Do I have a second? Second by Carol. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 6-0 with Jeff abstaining. And then the Chenoweth Real Estate Holdings LLC, same numbers, same applied at the same time, but that's the one's for personal property and one's for the real estate. So we'd entertain a motion for that approval as well. I think I had Mary with the motion and Joe with the second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 6-0 with Jeff abstaining on that one as well. Jordan, thank you for your time and the update. I appreciate it very much. Okay, now on your list, you had 2 listings for the Bailey Real Estate Holdings, a 2012 and a 2015 project, and Carol prompted me to go up and talk to Britt and Janet, and the 2012 one is done. It completed last year with the final approval, and I think, Jay, you agree with that after we review? Yeah, so we only have one to approve, and that would be for the 2015 project. Let me get back here to the right page. And yeah, Jay, any comments you care to make about the Bailey project?
That has taken a change over the years. As you probably will recall, Bailey Real Estate Holdings built that warehouse at the request of NHK. Mm-hmm. And for years, that was operated by NHK, and It twice was expanded at the request of NHK. With their building their new plant and all the changes that made, they decided in March that they were going to terminate their lease. Or their lease terminated, and so they didn't renew.
Okay.
So that put Cindy back in the looking for a tenant, and we were contacted by Frito-Lay, or Rolling Frito, one of their entities. And after a couple, 3 months of negotiation, and I guess probably negotiate until they were ready to actually move in, we were able to enter into a new lease with Frito-Lay.
Okay, good.
So in essence, what we've done is this was a facility to serve an important customer or client in the county, and now it's a different important
customer,
customer
yeah,
in the
yeah.
county that's benefiting from this facility.
Okay.
So that's the only real change. I mean, Frito-Lay came in and they've put a lot of money into it, changing it as it needed to be changed for them to be able to store cardboard and things like that that were going to be used in the food industry, and they have a different set of standards than you do if you're in the automotive supply industry. So they came in and put in a substantial amount of money. There was also money investment made by Cindy also. So it's turned out well.
Yeah, I appreciate that explanation. That makes a lot of sense, and I'm glad that it's still serving the community with its intended purpose. So, again, that was an abatement that was done, primarily to help offset the cost of the building, and so that was built. That assessed value has in it the tax rolls, and so would say that building is in substantial compliance. The salary numbers are going to vary a little bit, as Jay has explained. Because
Well, and we still used NHK's salary numbers since they were there till March, so
okay, and those, of course, are very good.
Yeah.
Very strong.
it may be difficult to get Frito to give us their salary numbers next year, but on the other hand, they probably have filings anyway here, right? That
Well,
would
those
have
would be with the
those?
city,
Those would be,
The city.
okay.
yeah. So, but for the purposes of today, again, I think this project's clearly in substantial compliance and would entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
A motion by Jeff, do I have a second? Second by Joe, that we would approve the Bailey Real Estate Holdings LLC CF1. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-0. So Jay, I'll get you those signatures after the meeting and
That'd be fine.
get that to you. Thank you for coming over. Do you have any others?
You don't have NHK on your,
No, no.
Didn't we do NHK last month? Is that the one we
There
did
was one-
last
there was
month?
one
Yeah,
HK
we did that last-
I think we did that last month.
okay, I need to get those then, the signed ones, let me check.
You picked them up.
Yeah, you were,
We'll talk after.
Yeah, I think we got that taken care of last month, Jay.
I
Yeah.
left them for you to pick up.
Okay. And did you do the 2020 plant also?
I believe
I'll look
so.
for that, I'll check.
Yeah, I think we've got that covered.
Okay.
Yep.
Very good.
We'll catch up if for whatever reason we missed anything, we'll make it right.
Yeah, I'll
Thanks,
double
Jenny.
check everything, Jay, when I get back.
Sounds good.
Okay. Next up, interlocal agreement with the city of Frankfurt regarding the PIP budget. And so you have in your packets for this month a copy of that interlocal agreement, and that is a result of a few months of discussion that really began last year at budget time, and you may recall, I think it was Commissioner Brewer that kind of brought up that issue of how PIP was funded and kind of started that whole discussion. And the long and the short of it is that PIP is the economic development entity that supports economic development through the whole county, not just the county excluding the city of Frankfurt. So we reached out to our friends and partners with the city and asked if they would help, moving forward, help fund the PIP budget. It currently, that's that $200,000 roughly budget that we give to PIP and Shan to use for economic development throughout the county. And, to their great credit, they very eagerly and willingly engaged in those discussions and took on that challenge. And so what this PIP interlocal agreement says is that beginning with this year's budget, we're going to split that budget half and half with the city rather than the county taking that entire amount. And so it'll be roughly $100,000 each, and it also very clearly states how that will be funded. So the auditor's office will withhold money from the CEDAT distribution to the city. So rather than sending it to the city, that'll be withheld and put into our CEDAT budget for use to help fund that PIP budget. So very excited about that. And that's essentially what this says. It also basically says that one other provision is that the county council will approve the entire budget as the entity that everybody in the county votes for. But that if we go beyond that originally approved budget and there needs to be an additional appropriation, that Shan would come to both the city and the county and ask for half of the amount each. So in that instance, the city would also get their chance to weigh in on any additional appropriation. So that's all spelled out in this PIP interlocal agreement. And then I guess I'll say before we vote, the corollary to this was that there was also a revision made to the PIP bylaws. And so we've kind of pared down who the voting members are, made it a little more official. The idea being was we wanted this to be the clearinghouse, the one-stop shop that Shan could go to talk to both city and county leaders for economic development projects and information. So we've streamlined it to a 6-member voting board, 3 from the city, 3 from the county. And of the 3 members from the county, 1 will be a commissioner, 1 will be a council member, and then the council has an appointment for a second position, the 3rd member from the county. So currently Todd serves as our representative on the PIP board. Because of this revision to the bylaws, we're kind of starting over, so I want to ask Todd if you're willing to continue serving in that
Yes.
role. Okay. And then I would like to ask the council, I'd like to volunteer to be, at least on this initial startup phase, as we go through this first go-around with the city, I'd like to volunteer to be the second
I was going to
council-
suggest that as well.
the
so.
second council appointee, because we're going to set some precedents here, and so the mayor's on there, Commissioner Brewer's on there, council president, or city council president Eric Woods is going to be on there. We're going to kind of, this first go-around, try to set some precedents in a way that we think will make it really good going forward. So we'll vote on the interlocal agreement, but then after that, I'd like to also have a vote appointing Todd and I to be the official council representatives to the new PIP board. So interlocal agreement first. Any questions on that I could answer for anybody?
I think it's a great idea. I think it's a good way to keep all that economic development in, so that the county and the city are talking together right away
Yes.
from the very beginning.
Yes, it forces communication.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
I
Thank you.
like, I
Well, I
like how
get it.
it's streamlined. I'm sorry, Todd.
No, go ahead, Jeff.
I've served on there. It just, it was kind of clunky.
Clunky. That's a good way to say it.
Yeah, you know, and today I think you need to kind of, so I really like the way that you did this.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So, did you make a motion? Did I miss the motion?
I didn't, but I can.
Okay.
Well, I was going to say, when you was talking about things, I get a double whammy with the city and the county, of course, from the county side with this. But and then when you throw the utilities in there too, it's interesting. But it's all good collaboration is what it is and stuff, so, yeah.
It was great working with the city. They were, right now, it's the best communication and cooperation that in my time on the council we've ever had with the city, and I think we can accomplish so much more when we're pulling together. So
Yes.
hopefully this is going to, codify some of that
Yeah.
and make it force that cooperation going forward, even
That's
if
right.
personalities clash. So now,
Good.
Carol, you made a motion.
Make a motion to accept this interlocal agreement, to approve it.
Okay,
I'll
do it.
second.
Second by Todd. Any last questions before we vote? It's an important agreement. Okay, seeing and hearing none, all those in favor, raise your right hand. That motion carries. Is your hand up, Todd?
Oh, yeah.
7-7. It wasn't up, but I'm asking if you want to have it up. 7-0.
Sorry, I was reading the text.
And then I would like to officially, I guess, reappoint Todd and ask for me to be appointed as the council. So Todd would be the council member, I would be the council appointment. I had Janet reprint out the list of appointments. Those both are currently set to expire. They're 1-year appointments that expire in 2025. I think we should probably stagger those. So what I would ask the council, because the new PIP bylaws allow each entity to set their own terms. So we have the ability to change that if we want. I would suggest that my term be 2025 and Todd's be a 2-year term to 2026. And we'll start that as a stagger so that we're reappointing one each year.
Good idea.
So I would entertain that as a motion if you all feel comfortable with that.
So be it.
I'll make
I
that
think I've got,
motion.
Mike had that as a motion, and Joe, I believe, had that then as the second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-0. All right, thank you for that. Okay, next up, Health Administrator revised job description. Carol, would you, kind of representing the committee, care to elaborate any on the discussions or the lead up to this change?
There's not too much I can share with you. We've been over it back and forth. Mary and I have been going back and forth with Dr. Pearson, and I think we've come to include everything we wanted to include. Commissioner Brewer added a few things. We wanted to make sure that we, this new person that we hire understands all of our rules and regulations, because we can't hold people accountable unless they know them and it's in their job description. Mary, you have something?
I think that covers it. Thank you.
But just to be clear, so the health officer, Dr. Pearson, and the Board of Health have all reviewed, and
Yes,
we're okay with
yes,
this as well.
yes,
So
yes.
all parties.
All parties have
Okay.
agreed.
Okay, so as part of the process that we put in place with the job classification system, both the commissioners and the council have to sign off on any changes to the job description. So this is, I don't want to call it a rubber stamp. It's important that we give an actual thorough review, but we have done that primarily through Carol and Mary representing us. And so we are giving our final seal of approval to this change. Do I have a motion to approve the revised job description for the health administrator?
I'll make that motion to approve.
A motion by Jeff. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I think I had Mike had his hand up first, so we'll go with Mike for the second. Thank you for the explanation. Do we have any questions on this before we vote? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor, raise your right hand. That motion carries 7-0. That is approved.
It'll be great to get that going.
Okay, that moves us to our additional appropriations for the month. Not as many as last month, which I was happy to see. Help keep me on task. Sometimes, Carol, I get on a roll and I skip one, but, okay, beginning with county general. This is the additional pay that we discussed last month to take the deputy prosecutor position from a part-time to a full-time, $28,703.24. You will see in the comments to the appropriation request that the prosecutor requests that we amend the salary ordinance to reflect this change. And Janet clarified with me that because we approved this last month, and we were approving an amended salary ordinance, she went ahead and included that in the amended salary ordinance. So that was caught last month when we amended the salary ordinance. So that
Great.
change has already been made.
Great.
This is just getting the money officially appropriated and put in place. Parkview Home, $947.59 from the County Homes Gifts Funds for supplies. Oh, we got a donation, I'm sorry. This is a donation, putting it in that fund and making it eligible for purchases of supplies. EMS, $7,155. This is for our mental health employee access plan. This is essentially trauma services after a particularly traumatic call. This gives our employees a program where they can reach out to somebody to talk to if they need to have that kind of a discussion. We had some money that we came up with that we appropriated for that program last year. It's funded on a per use basis, so we had money left over. And Stephen's asking that we reappropriate the remaining balance of last year's money for 2025, so $7,155. Community Corrections, $700 for a mini police academy for kids for this summer. That'll be one of the summer programs through Extension and Learning Network down there. Community Corrections, again, $500 for a We Care event. This is a sponsorship for a We Care Women's Recovery event. Sheriff's Office, this again is something we discussed and gave preliminary approval for last month. $75,000 for the new transport van from the misdemeanor fund that Sheriff Kelly reported on last month. Surveyor's Office has a couple of receipts for drainage, watershed funds from our neighboring counties. $917.31 from Tipton County for the Leslie Johnson watershed. $129.34 from Howard County for the Raymond Stump watershed. $272 from Tippecanoe County for the Arborist Young watershed. I guess that's all those watershed. Joe Root asking for $500 to get some new paver bricks for the Veterans Monument Fund. Those are donation dollars that he's asking for permission to spend $500 of. Probation, I don't know if this is a new grant or a renewal of a grant, but the Justice Partners Addiction Response Grant, is that new or a renewal? A renewal of a grant, an opioid grant, not to be confused with the opioid settlement grant. This is a separate opioid grant, and this is appropriating it, much like we did LEPC last month. This is appropriating those grant monies into usable line items. $500 for office supplies, $500 for training, $500 for mileage, and then the bulk of it, $19,502.25 for contractual services. Can you maybe explain what the contractual services? Okay, peer recovery coaching. Okay, thank you. Okay, and that is all of the additional appropriations for March. Okay, I have a motion by Joe to accept this month's slate. Do I have a second? Second by Mike. Any questions on any of those? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-0. Let me make sure I'm in the right spot here, because this first one I have says no approval.
Yeah, that's what I have too.
I know we have some.
Here we go.
I believe there's 4 of the transfers that needed approval.
Maybe they got out of order.
Yeah, we might.
Have mine.
Okay, thank you. Okay, probation, we have just a shift in some dollars from one employee position to another, $457 from the 015 line item to the 019 line item. Health Department, a transfer of $444.04 from the public health nurse to the health officer part-time position. Now, you may recall, because Carol and I had this question when we first saw this, we eliminated the part-time health officer position for 2025. This money is actually to finish out the payment of the last 2024 salary payment.
I'm
So,
surprised we're just now seeing it.
well, I think it took a little while for this paperwork to all catch up with that. So, but that's what that gets that all kind of cleaned up. Central Dispatch, this one requires a little bit. Is Renee here? Renee, do you want to talk a little bit about this? But before she does, it's $31,191.27, and we had a real rash of phone calls there for a short
We
time.
did.
And
We did.
we settled on this transfer as our course of action, but I'll let
Yes.
Renee maybe.
So, to bring you up to speed, we have 2 air handlers. One is for dispatch, and we have one for our equipment room. Knock on wood, no issues in all these years with the one for dispatch. We have been having issues for the one in the equipment room, and it's very important to obviously keep that maintain at a good temperature. Progressively over the last 2 years, we've been making repairs and repairs and repairs. About a month ago, again, it quit working. Tim has it set. We have an alert that emails us when the temperature goes above 68. It was froze again. They had been there and had refilled the Freon. And like days later, because we've had a slow leak for a long time that they didn't think they could ever find, because it goes from the roof, the condenser unit on the roof, down to the equipment room. Within 2 days, the Freon was out. It's froze up again. And so the repair was going to be either $8,000 and no guarantee, like it could last a few months, it could last a day. They didn't know. Or the repair or replacement of the 31,000 and change. Back and forth with the commissioners, they were in agreement. I mean, we're going to be there. Like, we can't just keep throwing money at it. And I mean, we could have been 8,000 and the next day back at it again. So we agreed, and then we had conversations with Alan as well. And then looking at the budget, we decided we still have 3 dispatchers that we have not hired yet this year. So it made more sense, instead of doing an additional appropriation, to let's transfer that money, we have it, and transfer it from those salaries into this to fund this. We're also tracking, I had sent Alan, Chris has been trying to track and are trending for our overtime. You know, we are in a much better place than what we were. And we hope to continue with that. You know, when you're retaining people, you know, your overtime is going to go down because Alan was concerned, and rightfully so, because every time, you know, the last couple of years, we're transferring money out of salaries to pay our overtime. But I sent that document to Alan for him to look at because I know he's my numbers guy and enjoys those things. But we are trending down and Chris is tracking that as we move forward this year. But it just made sense to go ahead and let's replace this and fund it that way. So,
And I
hence
want
the
to thank
transfer.
Commissioner Weaver, who really took the reins on the commissioner side, and he
Yes.
reached out to me. The decision we were really kind of grappling with was, do we use the commissioner's building repair
Yes.
line item that we'd already budgeted and approved, but take a big chunk out of it very early in the year, and then Renee came up with this idea of the transfer, given that we had not filled those positions yet. So we ultimately decided to go with this as the most cost-efficient way to handle it. So I just wanted everybody to hear a little bit of that story and that background on how we got that, because that's a pretty good sized number.
It is.
It is.
So, okay, thank you, Renee.
Thank you.
And that is the list of transfers that needed approval. So I would entertain a motion to approve the transfers. I think I have- Mary has that motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Todd. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-0. Can you
Give
send
those
that back
back
down
to
to Janet?
And you'll come to this, your book.
Oh, they are in there. They're just, usually they're on
Yes.
top. Okay.
They're a little farther
Nope,
down.
no problem, no problem.
I'll stop you when you get to them. Don't do them again.
Oh, no, that's all. I'm not gonna go through the ones that don't need approval. Those are for your reference only. So, okay, next up, review the financial and budget status reports. Say it every month. We get those from the auditor, and we like to show in our minutes that the auditor provided those for our review. You can review those on your own time. But that gives us our monthly account balances on our monthly status of where each budget stands versus its approved amount.
They
So
have been received.
I have a motion by Jeff to show that those have been received. Do I have a second by Mary? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-0. Council reports. Anybody have anything that they worked on over the last month they want to share with the remainder of the council? Anything?
Sorry, I have a couple
Yep,
things.
yep,
Sorry.
please.
I wanted to share a couple things actually going forward. The government classes at the high school, I'm teaching those tomorrow.
Oh, good.
So there's 4 classes that I'm going to be talking about, and they specifically ask us me to share about county government, city government, kind of how we work together and things like that, and how the students can get involved and learn more about it. So I'll be doing 4 different classes tomorrow at the Frankfurt High School. And then the legislative breakfast, just giving you guys an update that legislative breakfast is this Saturday at 8:30 at Wesley Manor. It's a good time to meet with the our state representatives to find out what's going on. And I know the SB1 is having a hearing tomorrow at 1:30, so that will be important. Tomorrow, also in the afternoon, we have an advisory council meeting with Community Howard. I'm going to only be able to attend that by Zoom. I don't know if, Bert, are you going to that? No, okay. So I'll be attending that by Zoom. I don't know that that's going to give us any good information, but I will attend that to find out what's going on with our mental health provider. Also, just wanted to share a little bit about CORE is closing. Or has closed. The childcare is open this week. There's a group of us that are working to maintain the childcare, to keep it open a little bit longer. So, St. Matthew West will be open for children in June. So we're trying to work with the bank and the CORE board to maintain that childcare from now until June, and then give those parents an option to move to the west campus of St. Matthew. We have 40 children, that's 40 children and their families in this situation of, I have no childcare next week. So I just wanted to, we have, we don't know we don't know, and we don't need to know the past history of what happened with the Y and the CORE, but today we have services that are not being provided to the people of Clinton County. And we need to be looking at how to replace some of those services. And so I just wanted the people, to be aware of 40 children are in this situation that they don't know. And then, that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's all these children that go there all summer for summer camp, and there's all these children that go there for sports in the fall. And so there is a group of us that are looking at how we can fill in the gaps, basically fill in the gaps, especially when it comes to children, how we can do that. So just wanted to give that heads up to you.
Okay, thank you. I did want to add, you mentioned SB1. SB1 left the Senate. That's the Senate Bill 1, the governor's proposed budget and property tax changes that would have had a dramatically negative effect on the county's budget. That was amended in the Senate Tax and Fiscal Policy Committee to dramatically reduce the impact, but have a significant impact nonetheless. Rather than actually cutting property tax funding, it was going to limit growth going forward, so the impacts would be felt in future years incrementally rather than all at once in one fell swoop. That bill has moved to the House side where you mentioned it was heard in a committee on the Ways and Means Committee this past week, or earlier this week, past week, but they had 9 hours of testimony, including several members of local government and schools, talking about the impact of that. The next committee hearing is going to hear about proposed changes to that legislation that would implement some of the I want to say practices or options that were included in House Bill 1402. Now, that's the House bill that would give counties and for the first time cities the opportunity to increase the local option income tax. So my gut feeling is we're going to end up with some version of this amended governor's bill that limits property tax growth going forward, that will incorporate some ability for the council and potentially the city council to make up for some of that shortfall as needed with additional income taxes, is what I think will eventually happen. So I know we've talked about that over the last few months because, we made some substantial changes to salaries last year. We've as a growing county, we've had additional employees, and we don't want to run off the cliff here, with no funding to support that. So that's something we've been watching very close. The other thing I want to talk about, and just maybe to inform the rest of the board, I did talk to Carol about this, but we had an email from Cecily last week that was sent to us as a council wanting to know, or reminding us that we needed to kind of finalize what our policy was going to be on longevity. We've put in place the longevity program. We've got to make some final decisions about, how are we going to calculate the start date? How do we handle people that leave mid-year? Finalize the date that the longevity gets paid out. The term I used when talking to Carol was we need to set sort of an ex-dividend date of, you're eligible as of this date, and so on and so forth. She asked the question of whether we wanted this brought to the committee or brought up amongst the full council, and I guess made an executive decision that I'm sending that to the committee, the 3 committee members, Todd, Carol, and Mary, and we'll have you work with Cecily, kind of come up with some of those answers. I'd like to try to have that back for the April meeting for the council's consideration. We need to incorporate that language, probably some additional language into the salary ordinance, because it's compensation, it needs to be referenced in that document. So you may need to allow yourself enough time to get your decision to Tom, so that he can come up with that language that we would add to the salary ordinance. So wanted to just kind of publicly say that we'll assigning that to the committee, and when I say the committee, I don't necessarily mean the full jobs classification committee, which includes the commissioner.
Right.
This would be the council members that
Okay.
I guess maybe more informally we would call the HR committee, but because this is strictly budget related.
Okay.
So if the 3 of you would kind of dive into that a little bit. I know that in talking to Cecily, she has some ideas in talking to WIS, and I think we've got a pretty good idea of how we don't have to reinvent the wheel here, I think is what I'm trying to say. So we'll look forward to that.
But we need to have a meeting soon.
But yeah, we'll look forward to that report then in April, and then that way we can communicate all of that out to all of our employees. Commissioner reports. I don't think I talked to you in the hallway, and I don't think we have anything from the commissioners for this week. That's always good. That means it's a quiet month. Department head reports. Any department heads? Dee.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So glad to be here this morning and to share some exciting news with you. First of all, in our building, we have been looking for the past several months that we're housed with the Learning Network and how we were kind of intertwined. Our office spaces and classrooms were intertwined, and we were trying to look at what would be the best for work environments and learning environments. So it's been a week now. We went through a pretty big move in the office. We're freshening up spaces. It's going to be such a great such a better learning environment for the folks that are coming in to learn different skills and a work environment too. So we're really excited about that going on with the programming of both groups. And then also I'm excited to announce that Amy Webster will be your new county extension director. I'll be hanging out as a consultant for a little while just to help with the transition, but she's going to do a fabulous job. I'll let her introduce herself to you.
So I am Amy Webster. I am the ag educator for both Clinton and Carroll County. So looking forward to working with you guys to keep our office going. And like Dee said, we made some great progress in moving the offices around. It's going to increase our efficiency so much. And I have to thank Sheriff Kelly. He brought over some inmates for us. I had 5 guys for 2.5 hours, and there is no way we would have got it done without them. And they were all very, very polite, excellent gentlemen to work with. We had desks going out doors around the building in other doors, and it was awesome. So greatly appreciate that service, and it is a benefit to our community. So thank you guys very much.
Well, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excited to have you. While you're standing there, I do want to, well, not anything I'm going to ask. I just
Okay.
want to report that Commissioner Brewer and I did have worked with Dee and then her superiors going all the way up to Angie Abbott, the state director, to revise the extension contract. And this goes back to what Bert and I worked on 10 years ago, almost. Started with that process, and we've got a really, I think, a great contract now, one that I think really addresses the needs of Clinton County specifically. And maybe the most important point that Jordan and I wanted to communicate is we went through a period here recently over the last 2 years that we had empty positions for a very, very long time that without question impacted services, and yet our contract payment to Purdue Extension was the same. And so we did, as a course of this revised addendum that we added to the contract, have a provision that says that if that happens again, there is a refund mechanism now in place for the county to recoup some of that contract payment. We do commit that amount that gets recouped will be tracked and set aside for future extension use. So carpet in the building, repairs to the roof, anything like that. But that we wanted to make sure it was for the benefit of Clinton County and Clinton County citizens, and not that it just went to Purdue to subsidize statewide extension. So I've been very pleased and happy with how Purdue has engaged with us to kind of address some of our concerns. Like I said, going back to when Bert and I we had that same discussion probably 10 years ago. So it's finally come to fruition. I'm really excited about that. So very happy with where we are right now and where it looks like we're going to go moving forward.
And kind of along those lines, I mean, we are back up to staff pretty much. I mean, we still have Karen, but we've got Hannah with us in the youth and myself in the ag. Come to us, let us know what we need. What do you see the needs of our community that you want to address with us? So we're here to help.
Okay,
So-
thank you.
Kudos to you guys, because that contract is the only one in the state that's being honored. In fact, now I understand they would like to copy that and use some of that same process. So it may have been 10 years, but it's been well deserved now. You guys did a nice job.
We had to, that was a battle that we had to have, was that Purdue likes to have the same contract around the state. And so we tackled it by not going to the core of the contract, but rather going with an addendum, a county-specific addendum. And so now that gives them the flexibility to do the same thing in other counties. So hopefully we were, again, we do that often here, where we're a trailblazer for things that get adapted throughout the state. So kudos and thank you to Extension for working with us on that. Okay. Any other department heads?
Just follow up, I should have told you that the unit was completed last week.
Oh,
So
good.
QPH brought a crane in, they had to remove the old one from the roof, put the new one on. and that was completed on Friday.
Okay.
So Thursday, Friday, so it is all completed, and we're back in service with that. And then real quick, I'm sure you've all seen on the news, but this week is severe weather preparedness week. So at 10:15, we'll be having a full activation of the tornado sirens in conjunction with the statewide
Okay,
testing.
okay. Thank you.
All right,
Thank you,
thanks.
David.
Anybody else? Going once, going twice? Are you serious? This might be a first. Okay, okay, okay. All right, well, seeing, any other members of in the gallery here today would need any time with the council? Okay, seeing and hearing none, we will declare the meeting adjourned.
All right.
Thank you all for coming.
What do you know that?
They have a bill that's due, that was due 3/7. That must not be paid, and then their big power bill
We went,
is
you
due
say it's
tomorrow.
privacy. I mean, you,
That's gonna-
instead of just saying common sense, if you're not having,
We have 18 months for that one position, like a year with another.